Welcome back to Fin Again, Begin Again. Today we are going to marry the engine and the transmission. And to do that, I have Diggy with me today. And while Diggy is a brilliant, brilliant man, gifted with brains beyond belief, I just need him for his brawn. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some clear silicone adhesive into the grooves that we cut on the counter shaft, front and back, and then the reverse idler shaft. Why we're doing this is because there is this is the area right here, and the two in the back would be prone to leaking. When this gets hot and everything, oil can come through there. There's nothing stopping oil coming from this cavity through there and dripping down here, getting everything oily and nasty. So putting a little bit of silicone in here, creating a bead of silicone, that's going to create a seal to keep that from leaking. Next, so I had to cut a little bit out of this gasket down here because this is an oil drain hole. Oil will come through the roller bearing, lubricating that roller bearing, and then this is the drain down here. You can see on the back of the housing that this is the draining area. So this is the gasket. We want to make sure that there's a nice clear way for that oil drain back in. And now I'm going to put some black RTV on both sides, and we're going to install our bearing retainer housing. Okay, we'll give that a couple minutes to set up and we'll install. All right, so we have greased the oil seal inside of here. That is set up. You can see the gaskets on there. Here we go. Oh, almost made a mistake. Something that we need to do is, because these are through holes into that cavity, is we need to Permatex the threads, or else oil will leak past them too. So let's do that. Okay, the other three are in. Here we go. Thread sealant. All right, now we'll tighten those up. Get them lock washer down, and that is done. Yeah. Okay, sticking to the front here, I'm going to go ahead and put the clutch fork back in and the throwout bearing in, just to get the front end finished up. So first thing you do is we're going to grease the bushings in here. This is the same type of bushing that second gear has, with the little dimples in it, so you make sure that there's grease in all those little dimples and depressions. Hopefully you can see my finger coming through where I'm greasing. And then the one on the other side. Now there are Zerk attachments at the bottom down here that, you know, I'm gonna thread in new Zerk fittings. But, you know, for putting the clutch release shaft through, I just want to make sure it was already nice and greased. Now, put this the right way. This is where the clutch release arm goes, so it goes on this side of the transmission. Okay, now before that gets too far, something I had to learn the hard way is that when you put the clutch fork in, there's a flat side and there's a rounded side. You actually want the rounded side to be going up against the back of the throwout hub. That way, as it rolls, I don't know if you can see this, but as it pushes out, it actually rolls and pushes it instead of this, which is going to be, you know, okay, it's this. You want it this way, round against the hub. And you just want it to come flush out of this side. I'll put my finger over there so I can feel when it comes in contact. Coming up now. Okay. Remove all the extra grease. Slide this over. To where it needs to be. I should have done. And maybe I'll actually back it up. This would be a good thing to do. I'm actually going to back this out. And then to keep it in the right spot. There we go. This should work to keep it in the right spot. Continue. Now, we're going to hold this still with a screwdriver. Now we'll rotate this down until we get our bolt hole aligned. It needs to go a little bit more. There we go. Now, I'll take you off here. As you can see there, the fork, the hole in the fork is lined up with the hole in the shaft. And that will dictate to you if you're in the right spot or not. So line it up, center it up there. Well, it looks like center. And you're good. So as you can see, if you remember from before, we hammered out a pin that held the fork to the clutch. We're replacing it with a grade 8 bolt with a lock washer. Think like Vern Tartle's book recommends 1/4 inch. I went up one size because it fits through the hole and it's much more snug. I think it's just more secured. Okay, so now we have our clutch fork engaged. I think I may need to invert that because the bottom of this bolt is coming up hard against the housing. If I reverse that, it won't happen. So I'll probably do that. Now that we've got the front end finished, we can now start putting the rear end together. So we're going to put on our gasket, RTV on both sides. Then we'll be putting on our rear I'm blanking right now. Our rear bearing retainer. There we go, that's what it is. Now, one important thing to do before you secure the 6 bolts for your bearing retainer on is you need to make sure that you put the 4 torque tube mounting studs in, bolts in, because you won't be able to get them on otherwise. All 4 of them need to be on or else you won't be able to get them in place afterwards. So, pay attention to that. Now, let's get the RTV in. We'll get this on. Okay, the RTV is on. Now, again, just like in the front, back here, these are through holes right into the oil-filled cavity. So these need to be thread sealed and applied. Put them on to prevent oil leakages past these bolts. So I'll go ahead and put one on now. Okay, make sure that your bearing retainer is correctly oriented. So the ears should be on the low side. First one in. All right, now we'll get the rest of them in. So, with that, we've got our yoke lubricated. We've got anti-seize on our bolts, ready to go. He's just gonna lift it from there to there. We're gonna stick it on and call it good. All right, Dickie, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Bolt number 1.
Hopefully not in there.
I need to rotate it around a little bit to line up the splines. I cannot see. You have gone into the clutch. All right, so that point into there. Down. There we go. Rotate, rotate. Oh, there we go. Now rotate. There we go. Oh, no, that's wrong. So push it until it goes into these. There we go. One. Excuse me, Dickie.
We're just getting comfortable.
So many opportunities. All right. Yay! Transmission, engine, married together. Now that's what I call progress.